Does God have anything to say?
The scene is a dry, run-down little town on a hot sunny day from a bird's eye view. You see a heavy-set, dirty man in an undershirt lead a whole group of people, presumably his wife and kids, plus extras and livestock, goats, etc., and they all pack into a sedan in the middle of the intersection at the edge of the town. At that very time, a semi-truck attempts to drive through the town down the main road, but finds itself blocked by this group of simple folk and animals in the sedan. He stops his semi-truck, proceeds to climb a tower until finally he is sitting atop the water tower overlooking the little ragged village and the lonely sedan in the middle of the road. Nobody else is in the streets. He uses his cell phone to communicate a threat to the family that he will call back to the office and get an all clear to shoot the people in the car if they don't move. But at the same time, he is playing with the trigger of the gun and looking through the scope of his rifle. Oops! He lets a bullet fly. It barrels down and enters the center top of the sedan. All he sees then is a process in which the bullet ignites something flammable inside the cab of the sedan and starts a fire that begins to burn everyone in the car. He sees a little brown-haired boy press his face up against the front windshield and pleadingly cry the agent's name, Andy, as the little body proceeds to be consumed in the flames. I've been making videos over the past week or so of martyrs losing their lives under various religious persecutions over the past century, songs about it. The 11 Sisters of Novogrodic by the Nazis, Blessed Maria de los Angeles by the atheist anarchists in Spain in the 30s, and Saint Manuel Morales Cervantes, who was executed under the atheistic Freemasonic government of Cayas in Mexico in the 30s. I can imagine a mindset like the one present in this dream, specifically from the vantage point of the agent, and it clouds the vision of all of the perpetrators of atrocities like this. So how does this unfold? 1. A grand mission. The agent sees himself as invested, part of something large, forging a new way through a messy, flawed world where history doesn't present much more than obstacles in the path of the new way. The inevitable progress that will continue to refine and perfect the world. Think Hegel. An ultimately utopian worldview, though he likely wouldn't say that it is. He'd consider it realist. 2. He's an agent. He sees himself as set apart, chosen, part of an elite philosophy, an elite cause. On the other hand, those who stand in his way, whether intentionally or not, are a collection of creatures who are either a very low sort of human or even could be perceived as a type of animal. This is a worldview that sees oneself and one's comrades as engaged, intelligent, chosen, important, with a future vision, birthing a better world against backward, unintelligent, dirty, archaic debris from history, standing in the way of progress. 3. Escape to the tower. Interestingly, instead of approaching the car and engaging the family, the agent climbs a tower, a water tower, and prepares to coordinate with his associates and to engage in warnings and threats. In the dream, this made no sense, but under the interpretation we are exploring, it makes perfect sense, because this is how a cause-oriented, invested, chosen person often operates. They don't dialogue with the party on the other end. Instead, they communicate with their own comrades in arms about the opposition and prepare weapons, assaults. Any engagement with the ragged family is limited to threats, and he climbs a water tower. Water, in biblical symbolism, represents the peoples, the nations, the multitudes. He climbs atop consensus, popularity, and establishment. This betrays an underlying fragility of the cause espoused by the agent, an unpreparedness for a closer quarters, more intelligent dialogue. Instead, he is shielded behind plans of violence and dehumanization. His narrow outlook is supported by his devaluing of his opposition. The agent is confident people of the quality of the family on the other side of his scope have nothing useful to add to the case of their own judgment, their own death sentence by him. 4. He is flirting with the trigger. The agent has 3 paths of violence on his mind. 1. An echo chamber. He plans to call and coordinate with revolutionaries, other elites like himself. Whether or not he should execute violence against this family, their answer will inevitably be yes. The deck is stacked in echo chamber dynamics and politics. 2. Threat. From his position of investment and superiority, there is only 2 types of communication possible: threat and manipulation. This is the communication of dehumanization. This is the type of communication men use with animals. The soft pasture fencing that facilitates management of livestock and exclusion of pests. 3. He is flirting with the trigger. The agent's echo chamber and dehumanization contribute to myopia, tunnel vision, wherein the only path to resolution is violence. Therefore, his mind is prepared for and set on violence. He is always playing with the trigger. 5. The unfolding. So finally, accidentally, he shoots, inevitably in a situation of dehumanization and surrounded by an echo chamber. A decision that one cannot fully have thought out proceeds. The agent pulls the trigger accidentally. The results are catastrophic. Instead of a single bullet missing or piercing the top of the sedan and causing an injury, it ignites the entire family in flames and they burn to their death. Violence begets violence. His attack changes the interaction between the family and himself from a negotiation of objectives to open hostility. Even if only one person is hit by his bullet in the vehicle, the entire family is burned. From this point forward, the family is no longer human, but the contagion of fire that can only be handled by being extinguished. This ironically supports the cause of the agent. He drives the semi. He is invested. The family has shown itself to be dangerous flames, and he is the fire extinguisher. The only problem is, he knows the whole story. 6. The little boy dying against the windshield. The boy cries Andy, the agent's name. Andy is a name that translates a son of a normal, suburban, middle-class home, invested in sports and the normal lifestyle of the larger community. The child identifies the agent by his affiliation with the popular movements of society, the standing within larger social groups, attempting to fit in and succeeding at fitting in. This indicates that these movements of dehumanization and violence extend out of the heart of the normal and popular culture of man, the comfortable suburban foundation. These movements are the manifestations of normal people, not extremists. You cannot hold a popular rebellion or a popular coup or man the halls of public institutions without fitting in. This is the great lie that society tells us, that terror is the result of the margins. No, terror is the result of suburbia, popularity, and affluence, and it has always been. When the Nazis knocked on the monastery door at Novgorodek to summon the sisters to visit the commander, these men were 1. On a mission to transform the world. 2. Invested, chosen, set apart. 3. They did not care what arguments the sisters had to make for their worldview. They relied on two sources, threat or manipulation of subhuman targets and an echo chamber of their peers. 4. They were flirting with the trigger, and it would result in 11 innocent, holy nuns buried in a shallow mass grave over the next day. And the atrocities of Nazi agents results broadly in resistance, which escalates the dehumanization. This, in the short term, burned their opposition, serendipitously, but in the long term, it burned themselves, as truth crushed them for their crimes. And that's how dreams like this always end. This agent will be a stain on history, and the greatest fire is saved for him and his associates. Who are his associates? The ones who teach his doctrine, the ones who silence his opposition, the ones who supply his weapons, and the ones who reinforce his persecution.